We are in it.
Bam.
Bam. La-di-da, we are live. La-di-da, we're live. We need that opening catchphrase.
I don't know. Nothing's coming. Nothing's coming right away.
I feel like Savon's was an accent, like the bam, we're live. Because I feel like
that's just him, right? You know what I mean?
It's like he clicks and he's like, and bam, okay, good, we're live. And then it just kind of turned into that.
Yeah. I don't want to take that's
Andrew Hiller does the yo. Does the yo. Yeah, some people just have their sign on. We'll have something will catch on, or someone will start saying it to us, and we'll by accident. I'm sure there's some pattern someone will discover. But yeah, hi, welcome. Grounds after rounds.
Oh, so sad.
Oh no, we're gonna get a cease and desist from Grounds After Rounds.
Wait a second, I know those guys.
Yeah,
they don't have their shit together well enough to be able to file a cease and desist.
But goddamn, are they good looking? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man.
It's cool. This is I feel like we did this. Remember, we did it once. I feel like not long after we opened. Remember, we did our Friends of Fairwinds week.
Yeah. Well, kind of. I don't remember if like we ever actually materialized into something.
It was real. It was just a real like. I think I remember doing it, but not really having a plan for it. Just like, hey, invite your friends and see if they like it. And I remember we got a good amount of people at the time too. That like came and people just dropped in. I was like, great. So we're currently in the middle of. I started campaigning it like 6 weeks ago. Bring a friend week at Fairwinds. Bring a friend week at Fairwinds, and this is something through Affiliate U where they say you should host a Bring a Friend week 3, maybe 4 times a year. And just get as many people in your box as you can. And then, hey, if they turn into clients, like if you get 30 people and one of them turns into a client, victory, right? I would hope if there were 30 people, I'd get more than one. But I did.
What's the path? Like, what's the right? Like that's always the thing that the business gurus tell you is like, what's that sort of workflow or person flow that if I'm friend X and you've brought me in and I come to the class, what are my next 3 steps that are already programmed for me to facilitate becoming a member?
So it starts as the Bring a Friend week. And its simplicity is you get a full week of Fairwinds, a full week of CrossFit on that. So just show up. And that's where I think I'm communicating with people each week. Step 1 was, hey, welcome. Here you are. Sign up for Sugar WOD. Let's see, here's Sugar WOD and get them in there. Log your workout. So basically it's like, hey, you're here for a week, but you're going to be treated as if you're like a full-fledged member of Fairwinds CrossFit. I did it at the end of the month because then the plan would be, okay, awesome. Like you're here. You dig it. Awesome. Next step is if you're interested in signing up, new month starts, June 1st. You're right here. Referral program. It's Bring a Friend week. So somebody referred you. In that, the person that referred you gets $100 and you get $100 off your first month. And so it's so there's that right there. It's like, hey, you get a full week free, and if you decide you dig it and want to stick around, you get $100 off your first month.
Nice.
And so a lot of the step for them is to show up. It's for me now. I'm contacting them, and I'm talking to them, and I'm saying I'm communicating with them as the week goes, and really kind of giving that attention that we try to give everybody, right? Like everyone, making them feel like they're just as important as everyone else here. But it was kind of around.
Do they go through like an on-ramp or anything, or they just rolled right into?
So they would likely go through an on-ramp. So after this first week, we would do, and it'd probably just be more of like an abridged on-ramp, not abridged. Yeah.
Abridged.
Abridged on-ramp. Because they've already kind of, okay, if they've been here for a week, they've kind of gotten the idea of what the flow looks like. Now let's take a step back and hey, remember some of that stuff you were hearing AMRAP or range of motion, or you're constantly hearing me yell depth, 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 or just kind of getting familiar with what those things are. So it's kind of just taking a step back and kind of, hey, here's some of the stuff that you heard during class. Here's what will make more sense, and now we'll go. And then from there, we have set up this. It's basically this. It's a 180-day journey tracker where, all right, after your first week, we're going to check in. Hey, you made it to 3 classes this week. How are you feeling? How's it going? And then after the first month, we're checking in. Hey, cool, you've been making it 3 days a week. Where can we squeeze in that 4th day? And then it's this constant staying with people as they go through this from week 1 to week 3 to month 1 to 45 days. And so it's all they have to do is show up. And I think that's the best way to go is cool, if you sign up, let's do this, show up, and we'll kind of help you take care of the rest.
Cool.
And yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But we had, I think, 13 people sign up for Bring a Friend Week, which is great. I had 3 or 4 of them in class today, which was fun because it's fun teaching people the snatch for the first time when you're in a class. And I remember having this conversation with a coach one time where I went through foundations with one athlete, but you've run through foundations too. The idea is to get them familiar with what we do. But it's I used to tell people all the time, look, bare minimum, if you walk out of here and all you do is remember where to park and where to put your stuff when you walk in, victory. That's a good step one. And so I remember I went through someone with foundations who really outside of doing spin classes, really didn't really play sports growing up. And outside, again, spin classes and stuff, that's the most of their exercise in a while. And so having them, the body awareness maybe isn't totally there yet. So when you're trying to get them to move through a squat, it looks a little awkward, but one day at a time, one thing at a time. I remember one of my coaches one time was saying, this person needs to go back through foundations. They're not totally sure. They're not getting depth in their squat, or they're not totally sure of the movements. And I was like, well, no, they've been through foundations now. That's your job as the coach. Pick a little thing, pick a thing, help them improve at it, and just know that this is a long journey to get them there. And I think sometimes people think that just going through foundations, all right, great, I know how to CrossFit. And no, it's just kind of laying the base. And then, as you know, every day is a new day, just get a smidge better.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. So I don't know if I really answered your question.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm being honest, if I was the new friend coming, I wouldn't really know. I don't know what I'm getting coming, right? I do. It's hard to play that as a thought experiment, to be completely unknowledgeable of what CrossFit is.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are people out there that still they know the name or they know the word, it's been popularized in culture. So there's a brand recognition, but there's not really an understanding. So maybe that's what the week facilitates for those folks.
She's on the podcast. Look at
that. So that I wouldn't, but maybe that's there is a market out there. There's people out there that want something, but they don't know what they want. And so maybe this format facilitates that for them to get a week's worth of exposure to it and kind of just a feeling of what it is.
What we say all the time is for a lot of people, I think starting CrossFit, what do we say all the time is the hardest thing to do?
You just start.
Get in the door, walk through the door. And so I feel if anything, if the heart, for so many people, they put it off so long because they were nervous, or they didn't think they were fit enough, or they see these movements and they don't think they can do them, not really having an understanding of what is scaling or how we scale. And so I think really this facilitates more than just hey, go check out our website and let's schedule an intro and that sort of thing. Here's this person that you are friends with, and they're hey, I've been doing this for a long time. It's really cool. Just come try it.
Yeah.
And having that person with them too, having that friend that's like, don't worry, like you're going to be taken care of, it gets their foot in the door.
Yeah, totally.
And so I think if anything, if it facilitates bare minimum helping someone get their foot in the door, then mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And then and maybe after this week they don't. Maybe after this week they're like, cool, I was gonna, it's a free week, so that's great. And maybe they don't sign up this, but now they know what it is. Like they've experienced. The hope is that they come 2, 3, maybe 4 days a week for that week and really feel it. But that seed has now been planted. They know what it feels like. They know what the workouts feel like. They know, like, oh, hey, if I don't have a pull up, I could do this.
Yeah.
And so
I guess my question, I'm a creature of like I like things having a sort of not universal structure, but like a structure to them. And so if it's not Friends Week, what is the path by which random Joe walks off the street into the gym? What's the 3-step process that gets them into classes?
Oh, yeah.
And so in a sense, that was my question is Friends Week is just another like channel to get the person into the funnel. Right. And so that was sort of my question is, so like I'm the friend and so my channel is just a little bit longer. It's a week longer.
Yeah.
To get into the funnel. And so that was sort of the question of, okay, so I can't come every day this week for Friends Week. I came my first one. I don't know. When does it start? It's next week, right?
It started Monday. So we're
started Mondays. Okay. So I came yesterday. I can't come today. And schedule got changed. I can't come Wednesday. I come with, Bonnie on Thursday. And then I just come by myself on Friday because Bonnie can't come, but I kind of like it. And so on Friday, class is over and I'm kind of like, all right, well, that was a good time. Like, so, right. Like, I don't know what my next step would be.
And that's where, like, at the end of the week. So I'm following up with you at the end of the week. And so that's where,
right.
Similar to where, hey, go to the website, fill out your info and select a time on Calendly to do a one-on-one meeting. Yeah. That's kind of the next step. Like, okay, cool. We'll set up a time to, have a one-on-one and talk a little bit and, what'd you like? What didn't you like? And, where do we go from here? And so that's step 2. So you basically, instead of just doing an intro, you basically just got a week of class.
You got 3 weeks in.
Now we go. And now we go down that, okay, let's set up a call. Let's talk more now too about what are your goals, and how doing this more than just this 1 week will get you there. And from there, is it foundations, or is this person maybe ready to go right into class? And so, so it's really just kind of extending that process. Whereas suppose it's fill out form on website, schedule call. Well, now it's friend says come do CrossFit.
Right. It's just, that's just a different channel to get that first contact.
Yeah. And then it all stays the same after that. So I'm touching base with everyone and going from there. So, but anyway, I forget where I was going with it, but it was I think I had 10 or 11 people at 6:15 this morning, and 3 or 4 of them were friends of people, and we, it was 10 minutes to build to a heavy snatch today.
Yeah.
It was a fun, like, hey, cool, you guys are building to a heavy snatch. Oh, here's 4 people that have never snatched before. And so it's challenging as a coach. Like, that's the thing too. It's challenging as a coach, but I had them do okay, cool, you guys are going to do every 2 minutes, you're just going to do 5 high hanging muscle snatch, and just get a feel for that jump and that turnover. And so it was fun. It's like you find a little bit of something, but it always takes you back to, like, as a coach, like, you need a big class, small class. You need to know how to make it work for everybody.
Well, it seems like it would also open the door to be beneficial to the long-term person who, right? Like, well, they're assured that they know how to snatch. They're perfect. Like, they don't need the skill work beforehand, or They don't need to waste their time. That person's never snatched before. I've been snatching for 5 years. What do I need to go through the drills that Eric's taking that person through? This is such a waste of time, right? Like, so what a great chance to have the rest of the class have to use a PVC for 12, 15, 20 minutes. Because I mean, everybody who comes out of the level 1 where you only get to use PVC,
Yeah.
None of them express, nobody who ever goes through the level 1 expresses how sore they are, and they never picked up a weight. I mean, it's really easy. The level 1 is super, physically, it's super easy. I mean, you're not tired or hungry or sore afterwards.
That's why after day 1, everybody goes out, they party that night.
It's super. And I mean, that's because I mean, that the only way to get stronger is to just keep lifting heavier weights.
I mean, that's it.
Yes.
So that's all you got to do.
So that I just, that would be such a cool opportunity to be like, all right, folks, we got 4 new people in here. None of us are going to use more than a PVC for the next 15 minutes. Let's go through and dial in our position. You know what I mean? And like, next thing you know, the person that actually works up to that snatch is like, I never knew. It's so weird. Like nobody ever told me to delay my arm pull until I had jumped all the way to full hip extension. That's so weird. It makes the lift so much easier, Eric. Why didn't you ever tell me that before?
I love we're doing it, whether it's a PVC pipe or even a barbell, and maybe we're doing like a 3-position snatch or something. And you know, what is it? Berger always says it, like 90% of missed lifts are usually due to your setup.
Yeah, your feet.
And so I love like putting people down. I'm like, all right, everyone's set up. Like about to go to, you know, maybe there's 11 people in the class. And I'm going down here. I can't stay down here. And we are not going to go until everyone's setup has been adjusted. And I turn around and there's like 3 people that have stood up already. And,
oh my god, this is so hard. I can't stay down here. I gotta go. I gotta go down there and get right out. Okay, that might be why. Might be why you haven't lifted more than 115 pounds for the last 3 years.
You should probably spend some more time in that setup.
Anyway, so yeah, I would. That you're right. Like that's also our coaching habit. Is I rush through the things that I am uncomfortable getting better at. I just skip right over that stuff because it's too uncomfortable to just sit with it and actually try to get better. So if I have a class of like 3 or 4 new people, and then with a class that is all, you know, relatively experienced people, that's super uncomfortable because I generally can skip over the stuff that the beginner stuff with the unnecessarily or unproductively skip over the beginner stuff when I have an assumption that I have a class full of, you know, well-versed, educated, CrossFit educated people. I do it at their expense, and my own expense as a coach, not to spend with them. So, but you're right. Like that is a very difficult lesson to keep learning. The better and more experienced you get as a coach.
I love the saying, like, don't let my eyes get used to your shitty movement. So it's like when you coach the same people over and over and over and over, sometimes like you will tend to let things slide because you're just, it's the same people. And so now you get a couple people in the class who is brand new. You really have to like refocus, get yourself straight. And now in doing that, it's like, oh, wait a second. I was you know what? I was letting you get away with this, and I shouldn't have been. We're gonna fix you.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that like? So I was just thinking this. I'm like, why do we have an aversion to kind of doing the same things over and over again in the gym? And I mean like, and not in the sense of like a routine, but like coming back to, like, as you said, the starting position. That's perfect. Not every day or every time we lift, but like returning to it and sort of like brushing off I really haven't spent much time in the bottom of my my first pull position, and not in like a dumped tension free position, but like actually like as if I'm about to, like right before I'm about to, you know, squeeze it off the ground. But yet how many times this week did you listen to the same song.
Right.
How many times this week did you do the same, I don't know, thing almost unconsciously? Could you actually do it consciously and look at it for the sake of exactly what Andy said, that word of, can you do it better? And so that sense of, I've already done that. I don't have to do it again. I've already learned that. I don't have to read it again. I've already, right? That. So I'm just curious. I'm curious what that is, like what that aversion, why we have that aversion to coming back to things we think we already know.
What's watching people like, after going through going through the Bergner warm up, just kind of going through the motions of the Bergner warm up. And it's like, all right, we get it. Jump and shrug, high elbows, snap turnover, blah, blah, blah. I think it's an aversion. I mean, it gets boring, right?
But why? What makes it boring?
Doing the same thing over and over and over. Like, is that one of these deep thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's my question, is what makes it boring? What is it about it that's boring? Because if it's just repetition, that's but yet you'll do the same thing, right? Like, is taking a dump boring?
You're breaking up on me.
Sorry, I said, is taking a dump boring? I'm just trying to think of something that we do, that you do like every day, and right, like you just chuck, like, it never is. It's always kind of like, oh, that was all right. Right? Like so if it's associating, is it just the absence of association of meaning to it?
Yeah, true. That could be looking at it. And that's where it's like, if you're getting bored with the Bergner warm up, you need to think about why you're doing it again. Refocus why you're doing it. Yeah. It's not just to go through the motions. Yeah.
I don't know. So I would think go slower, right? And that comes back to the hidden.
Yeah, but it's that simple stuff, though.
I was gonna say, it goes back to that hidden benefit of having those 3 or 4 new people in that class. Like, they are the ultimate gift to the coach and to the other members of the class, because they force everybody to kind of be in that beginner's mind again.
Like, oh, we got to go back and clean this stuff up. Oh.
I'm not sure if not sure if it's me coming in and
spiking.
Oh, and we're back.
That makes a difference. Yeah. I don't know why we're so shaky.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's time of day. You changed up the time of day.
I know the StreamYard wasn't ready. Like, whoa. I was like expecting another 2 hours before I had to jump back on this.
I mean, in all honesty, I wonder if it is. I wonder if it's that, at 10 o'clock, less people are online or something, or who knows?
That makes sense. People are just, 9 o'clock, people are just getting online for their, for work, right? A lot of people are getting online. Or it could be like, Soph just started class. Is another, I don't know.
Yeah, you got a lot more people.
There's usually no one else in here at 11 o'clock.
A lot of people on their phones, or their phones have connected and stuff. So who knows?
Some people may or may not have the Wi-Fi password, which is okay. They're allowed to have it. It's not while I'm podcasting. So, but we were chatting. Moving on from that, we were talking about what are they called now? Semifinals. Now, how many different semifinals are there? Are there 12?
I don't know. I'm struggling to
keep up.
To kind of like to keep it all kind of straight in my head, and then CrossFit didn't broadcast a lot of it, and so then there was the CrossFit podcast with Chase
Yeah.
Ingram and Adrian. God, what's his last name? Conway. Adrian
Yeah.
Conway. You got it.
Yeah.
Which was really like interesting, but I mean, and it was fun in the sense of like those two are extremely talented,
Yeah.
but like the camera angles were kind of horrible, and because
Yeah.
it felt like we were back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I
Which was
remember
totally acceptable at the time, but they
right.
upped the ante since then, and so now the expectation is a little bit higher. We're like, well, hold on, guys.
Right.
I can't.
And so then you're like, okay, well, cool. And then CrossFit starts broadcasting, and again, like you get what you pay for. It's free. But so I went to watch day 4 yesterday. I went to see the last 2 events or the last 2 tests, and the video's down. Like the video's taken down. So I'm not sure if like if YouTube snagged him for like a sound thing, like if there was like a song playing in the background or something. So it's just that on top of kind of the it sounds kind of bad, but whatever. Like T is out, Mal's out, Ricky's out, Justin's this weekend, so that's kind of cool. I'll watch Medeiros. It was cool watching what's his face from Canada, Jeff Adler. Holy crap, he looked good. Jason Hopper looked good. Daniel Brandon and Emma Lawson, they were kind of fun to watch. So there's still, I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, like, geez, they are, it is amazing. The physical feats of fitness. Ooh, that was cool. That they accomplish is absolutely amazing. I'm having difficulty keeping track of all the like ins and outs. And I mean, it's more complicated than pro golf right now with LIV and PGA and rank, right? Like
such a mess,
right? Like that's a mess. That's easier to follow. Even MLB, we were talking last week.
Yeah.
MLB is easier to follow, even with all the rule changes than CrossFit is right now.
It's all over the place.
They're exercising for time. Like, so I'm not sure what has happened that they've put themselves in this position where it's like, so you have to file this report, and then you qualify for this thing, and then you come to the semifinal, and then, but only if you're in the top 11. If you're in the top 11, but then we're going to have an extra one to give out if, like, depending on your world ranking, that will shift after this stage, and then on the on the 13th of the month, we'll make the determination of like.
Well, so yes, there's top 11 women, but top 11 women, but top 12 men.
Is that it? Like, is that true?
Yeah, it was. So in this particular one, it was top 12 men, top 11 women.
Yeah, like I was what? Because it's based on strength of field and stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I get that. This is the I think this is what Savannah is like. This is the result of trying to drive towards the illusion of like popular equity or popular like, well, we want to be fair, like the illusion of fairness, instead of just saying like it will be the top 5 from each, right? Like every structure you create and put in place is some sort of artificial filter to like drive towards some sort of end state goal. Like, okay, so the second you put in a filter, you've created an artificial boundary. That artificial boundary will come with strengths and weaknesses. Like that's it. Like you're going to miss some people that possibly could have made it. If you strive towards trying to perfectly get everybody possible, you will never be able to. You're going to create the confusion that I think they've created now. And so, but again, like there's some people that love it. There's some people that are figuring it out, and they're right. Like that's just, for me, I'm confused and I don't really understand. And therefore then I quickly lost interest. And so I was like, just fast forwarding to the last like 3 minutes of each of the last heats of all the tests. And then I saw like teams, and I'm like, I don't care.
What's so funny too, because I'm watching it, and I hadn't I didn't realize that like they were taking so many. Like I didn't realize that it wasn't like the top 3 or 4 or whatever they did in the past. So like I see, so and so sitting in 8th place. They're like he's so and so sitting in 8th place, and he's
punched his ticket to the game.
He's punched his ticket to games. I'm like 8th place. Like why is he so happy he's in 8th place, right? And it's like Noah won his Noah won an event. I'm like, oh, that's great for him. Way to go, Noah. He's hopeful of his his 10th consecutive games as he's sitting in 6th place. I'm like, wait, hold on. But he's okay. Good job, Noah. You won, and he's But it's also classic Noah Olson. Like everything he does, he celebrates like it was the greatest accomplishment of all time.
Yeah. I actually, and I can't help myself. He was running on the air assault in that first event or the first test, and they were doing the podcast broadcast versus the actual CrossFit Games broadcast. So they're kind of scanning along with clearly like somebody's phone or something, and it like stopped, and he sort of like, you could see he makes eye contact with the person who's filming, and he does like 4 fixes of his hair while he's running, which, I mean, hey, good on him for having the awareness of like, hey man, this shit don't make money on its own. Like I got to look good. And so I was like, all right, whatever. I mean, that he is a market of himself. And so, yeah.
Hold on. Andy, picking on Noah, easy target, face purple.
Not picking on him, just appreciative of his consistency of behavior.
And he has a hair product sponsor.
Totally, right? Like, so good on him. That is some that is some legit fitness that he has the ability to have. He has awareness. If I'm running on the Assault Runner after having done, what was the first machine they used, right? I think it was Echo, Runner, then Skier. So they've done more on the Echo bike than I want to do in an entire week. They've dragged a sled across the floor that I probably couldn't even move. And now they're on the Air Assault Runner. I'm vomiting, and he's smiling and has the awareness to be able to fix his hair. Right. Like, so that is not only impressive, it's it's good business sense.
Yeah, he's funny. Like I don't doubt for a second that Noah is like a really sweet dude, but it's always like Noah has always loved him some him. And so like if he gets a chance to like, because it's so funny, like I love watching that last event or whatever the event was that he won. Like, because you can tell too, when he's feeling good, he's extra friendly to like all his competitors and stuff, right? Like when he wins, he makes a point to go over and high five and hug everyone. And whoever was like, those last 2 dudes finishing, whoever was the last one to finish that workout, and he's way behind. Just about everyone else is done, and this one guy's still going. He's got his last overhead squats, whatever he's got left. And so he's the only one on the camera. He's the only one on screen, only one on camera, only one still moving. So like, you swear it's almost like Noah's like, so maybe here's the guy working out over here, and Noah's almost like, now just got to make sure I'm in the shot. You get it, bro. You get it. And then he sits down on one of the barbells. Then he makes a point to like yell to his fans and then flex for him while he's still on the camera. Like, there's like, oh, the camera's focused on this one person still working out. Let me just make sure I'm in the frame. So like, I'm sure he's a really nice dude, but like I said, he loves him some him.
Yeah,
absolutely does.
Yeah.
And so
10 years, man. 10 years in a row making it to the games. Like
that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, he's
with all the changes too. With all the changes that have been made, like he's always
he freaking went to, and he was there for the 2021, right? Like he made it to that. Yep. Yeah, he's it's impressive. It's just I chuckle. If there's nothing else, he is consistent. He's
like we always talk about like Fraser and Froning, who won 4, who won 6, and they're always top. But like, think about like, I mean, how fit you have to be, like, because he's not only has he there been 10 years in a row, he's pushing the podium every year, if not all.
Yeah, he's always in contention. So all that to say, like, I didn't understand I actually appreciated Saban's podcast. I was listening to it. So I was in the woods this whole weekend. The twins and I went camping with the Mikulski Cooper twins. So no signal, didn't follow any of it. Yeah, seriously. So when I got back, I was sort of binging yesterday and kind of catching up. The Savan podcast was very helpful in kind of framing and giving context to, as what you were explaining, the drama of the sort of 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th place. And one of the commentators made a comment of like, what actually makes this kind of cool is the penultimate, or the sort of the second to last heat of each of the events or the tests actually becomes the more exciting one, because that will have places 11 to 20. So if you've got like the 11th place, the 12th place, 13th, 14th, 15th, and they're all within like 5 to 6 points of each other, they're now battling out to like they need to beat each other to have a shot. 11th needs to win. So they're racing people they won't even see in the next heat, which makes the last heat even more exciting, because they can't, if I'm in 9th and I'm only 20 or 30 points ahead of, say, or 15 points ahead of 11, 12, 13th, I got to freaking send it. Like, I can't just ride and be like, if I'm good, I'm top 10, because there may be people from the heat before. So in that, I would have been lost in that. I would have been like, wait, what?
I think it was
just the numbers are too big.
I think Brooke Wells was like, and I'm just using numbers for numbers' sakes, but like, you know, the top 11 women are going. Brooke Wells was sitting in 18th, which feels like, well, 18th is pretty far from 11th, but she was 7 points out. Yeah. And so it's like, that's just like, that's one good workout away from being in the top 11.
Yeah. And so
it made that bottom half really good to watch.
That now seems to me to be a marketable, sellable narrative, something to really like kind of highlight. If, say, I was the CrossFit Games media team and I had the capacity to have commentators and people, and I'm broadcasting all of the tests. Yeah, right? Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, right there.
Was that addressed? I don't know if that was addressed on the final day of competition, because I can't watch the stream. And the only way that I was able to become aware of that was by listening to an unsanctioned, relatively uncomplimentary podcast of the thing itself. And so if I'm CrossFit and I'm the director of the CrossFit Games, or I'm part of that team, I'm like shitting my pants from a business standpoint of we are totally bonking this thing and missing an opportunity to really highlight and say, okay, hey, granted, it's a relatively complicated system, but don't worry about that. We are creating an opportunity for a broader field of athletes to really make moves, where like, and even making analogies of, like in golf, where Thursday and Friday rounds are important because you got to make the cut. But by Saturday and Sunday, you have people go from 15th place to winning the Masters, because you've got people at the top that maybe bonk on the last thing. So like, we have created an environment for every day of competition, and almost for every heat of competition to really matter. That's the story we're going to tell you this weekend. So pay attention, stay tuned. And even if you're not paying attention, don't worry. We've got the experts to tell you what to pay attention to. And right. Like, but they're not like, there's no, I'm a relatively educated consumer of this product, and I'm working really hard to like find the narrative, like parse together the narrative. And that's, I don't know, if I'm in the business of trying to create a business, it seems to me that would be something I'd want to kind of have one or two people. Like, your whole job is to create this narrative, guys, like over the course, and maybe right? This was the first semifinals, first weekend of semifinals. Maybe
Right,
this
the
weekend.
first one. I'm curious to see how they adjust as they go week to week.
But it's not the first time. It's not the first time they've done this, though. Like, it's not the first time they've done semifinals. Like, but they have also fired all of those experts, and now they work for Mayhem. They work for themselves. They they work for HWPO. So in a sense, like they kind of decimated the corporate expertise and sent them out on their own because they're like, we don't really want to do this anymore. And now they're doing it again. They're like, we got to refigure this one out. And be like, no, I don't. You just go back and watch the 15 games. Like, I think that 15, 16 was like the pinnacle of CrossFit Games media. Like, that was some. Yeah. But as Greg has
that's a good point,
not Greg from last week.
Yeah, I think
what he has said is.
I feel like every year they've tried to. I feel like every year they've tried to. And I'd say ever since Glassman had changed it to, the open. Every open winner has. Was it every country has an open winner, and then they had to do the sanctions.
It was 19.
Ever since that got a little mucky.
Well,
and I feel like almost ever since then, it's never been the same format each year to year. It just gets more confusing. But he said 15, 16, just go back to this particular way where it seemed to work.
So but the thing is, he made a really good point on. He called into Savant's podcast maybe last week or week 2 weeks ago, and he said something about like Matt Frazier, and they were kind of like Savant's like, I love him, but Greg's like, hey man, I don't really know him, but something about like, and it wasn't just about Matt, but it was sort of like just a CrossFit Games champion in general, winning it 4 or 5 times makes $1 million, right? And so Greg's like, yeah, it cost me $5 million a year to run the CrossFit Games. So I spent $5 million I spent $25 million to make somebody $1 million. He goes, that's really easy from a business standpoint, from a business acumen. I can make you $1 million if I spend $25 million. It's a pretty simple math problem. So it's like you physically accomplish that, but at the expense of his business. And he's like looking back on it, no, I would not have started the CrossFit Games in 2007. I would have taken that $25 million. And he's like, I would have done something else with it. And now he's like, now I've got $1 billion company to do something with, or whatever. I forget it. It was a very interesting sort of insight of money to value to worth of effort and stuff. And so if the games and this year's games, and especially in the semifinals sort of being like the sort of beginning of the last part of the journey of the season, it's entertainment. And if it's entertainment, it needs to tell a story. I'm not sure what the story is this year being told by CrossFit.games.com or games.crossfit.com. It is sort of absent of a driving narrative, and that's problematic if my job is entertainment.
Right now, I think the narrative has been who's not going,
which could be a narrative, right? Like that is part, because then those sort of absence of that talent sort of takes the role of the villain in the story, which is a norm. That's a trope. Like that's a common theme of, and so that, but none of that's being teased out or extrapolated into some sort of usable thing for the broadcast team. And the only place that I'm getting it as a consumer of the media is on Savant's podcast, because those individuals and they brought the barbell spin guy on. He's awesome. Other than just a love of the thing, I don't know what what their benefit, like how they're benefiting from it. Do you know what I mean? So that's sort of like, that's interesting. That other than just the love of the game, I don't know why they're doing it. Yeah.
I think I loved when Greg was on Savan's podcast 1.2, and he was talking about like, you know, what he's doing now with the Broken Science Initiative and stuff like that, and how you know, it's nice now that he's in a place too where he can do this. And I forget what he said exactly, basically like he doesn't have the Catherine Davis daughters of the world telling him how he should be running this and how he should be doing it or something like that, like having a critique on how he's doing it, which is funny. But like I think it's I think the games, I don't know, the games are constantly trying to evolve into something, but he said I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm patient. And again, right? Like they're providing a product. I've said this before, and they're providing a product for free. I don't pay anything. So
yeah.
I have
zero. Even this shoddy broadcast that they put on, like that can't be easy.
Right. So maybe there's a room for a conversation of like, you get what you pay for. And if you don't want to pay for it, then you're going to get advertising. And if you don't want to get advertising, then something's in a capitalist system, something has to pay for the facilitation of the product. It's probably going to be unconsciously me, right? Like that, the social media system or the social media structure of like, it's going to be my attention. So something, there's going to be a cost somewhere. I just don't know where.
If CrossFit created a $12.99 a month streaming service that would allow you to watch these events at a much more like professionalized broadcasting, would you pay that $12.99 a month?
I would pay in immediately, and I bet you even I would pay it for the year, like 100% at the Open. Right, there's an extra $79.95 charge, and I have unlimited streaming for the season. I have access to all. Yes, 100%. I would pay an initial $100 to join the Open and have access to viewing everything for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That to me would, and if then that facilitated like the event being streamed, commentary, and even if the commentary isn't that good, it's a one stop where I put it up in a window or in a you know what I mean, like a frame on my screen.
Yeah.
But then of course I'm also going to have like Savan up. I'm going to have the podcast up. I'm probably going to be scrolling stuff like, yeah, of course, because I'm a consumer of 21st century media. But that $100 that I spent was my ticket to participate for the Open. I'm sure, follow on events, you're going to pay for something. And then I have an anchor place to go to.
Yeah.
That was where they were going. I think that's what Glassman kind of envisioned when he fired the media team. And in 19 made the stream available. So they CrossFit streamed it. And then you as a media entity could take that stream and then do with it whatever you wanted. Yeah. Like that, again, so simple. And if they had just stayed with that, like it's pretty genius.
Which makes me like wonder like that. I wonder that's got to be on their radar, because I mean everyone's got a streaming service. Like every sport, like there is a Major League Baseball. You can I think it's for like $80 you can for the year. You can stream games from all of outside, unless they're in your network, unless they're in your whatever. So I mean, I don't even know I couldn't even tell you what the cost of Peacock is. I can't remember, but it's something like that, $12.99, $14.99. But Peacock streams WWE pay-per-views every month, and they have all kinds of extra content on the back end. But it's NBC's app, so they have all the NBC's. I like occasionally watch The Office, but I pay that every month. Instead, because I didn't want to. Also, pay-per-views now are like $40, $50, $60. Either pay, like you said, that upfront cost or $12, $13 a access. I didn't think twice about it. And so I feel like that's got to be radar. Like whatever is that they let go at CrossFit HQ, that's always, I know companies do that. Like a new comes in, they're making adjustments. That's a thing that tends to happen. They make 20% budget cuts because they're now like, there's a long-term plan that they're making room for. And I've got to believe if the games are actually going to be something that they see in the long-term future, it's got to be something along a streaming service or some sort of provider that lets them be. Now, you're listening to it to other people and they're making money off of it. Savon makes talking about the games and broadcasting the games. So like, if you need the money for it, there's a place for it. And again, I know their goal is to professionalize the sport, in particular for the athletes, because they want the athletes to get paid. That's why they're taking on sponsors like Monster and Jocko and all that other stuff. Tupood.
Yeah. I just, that, and my, right, my former expertise or my current is, there's just a vacuum of a story. Like I don't know what the story is coming out of the semifinals East. Can
I tell you my speculative story everyone has their 2 cents, and this is mine on why Al O'Brien is not competing?
Sure.
Can I say my story? So my story is, and I take this back to in 2020, the Lakers won the NBA championship. It's constantly referred to as the bubble championship. So remember, like sports, that they try to figure a way to make the season work. Well, they only played 8 games that season. A lot of players opted out due to COVID and the risks and all that. They didn't want to do it. They played 8 regular season games, and then they played kind of an abbreviated playoffs. And it was all at like Disney World. Basically created this complex where the only people that were there were the teams, some media, staff. That's it. So they were all in this bubble, completely confined to this bubble. So there was no home court advantage, anything like that. They all played on the same court, and it was just one game at a time. So they only played 8 games. They played this bubble with only particular people there. The fans weren't there. It was just the TV screens around. And so the Lakers won it. And a lot of people are like, yeah, you won the championship. We're going to go ahead and put an asterisk on that because it wasn't a real season, right? It wasn't a real season. It was the easiest path to a champion anyone could take. A lot of star players didn't even play that season. They opted out that season. So, LeBron and the Lakers didn't have that many challengers. So, it's put an asterisk next to it. So in my mind, I'm like, okay. And again, this is just a story I create up because it's fun to create a story sometimes. And I'm sure whatever's going on with Mal O'Brien, I hope everything turns out okay. I feel bad for some of the stuff that people come up with. Let's say Mal O'Brien's looking at the field this year, and everyone's now that Tia's out and all these other people that are normally out, they're gone, they're out. Mal was crowned the champ before she ever even took the floor, right? Like a lot of people are like, oh, Mal O'Brien's just showing to win it. But she still has her weaknesses. She's only 19. And I feel like even if she won, regardless of how dominant, everyone would always say, yeah, but Tia wasn't there. So there's always going to be and people even said that. I think it was who was I listening to that said it? Even said there'd be an asterisk on her win if she were to win. Well, so in the back of her mind, if she's like this really true competitor, well, if she were to win, but there's always going to be an asterisk on it, then in her mind, like, look, I still have these weaknesses. If I were to win it, people would always say, well, you didn't win because of Tia. You know what? Assuming Tia comes back next year, I'm going to take this year off and just hammer my weaknesses even more. Assume that Tia comes back next year. So when I do win it, people can't say Bupkis. I'm the fittest on earth. Boom. And that's my story.
And I guess
and Andy's with me.
Yeah.
He wants to beat Tia.
I don't know. What's the
this is the fun story to make up.
What's the unintended assumption you're making about her?
Is that she bowed out because she winning this year wouldn't have the meaning that she would want it to.
You made that. That is you made that 100%. You made that 100% clear. What I'm asking is, what is the
Yeah.
unintended assumption you're making about her, right? Like that.
Unintended assumption?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
She's a coward.
Oh, she's a coward?
Yeah. That the only reason she does it is because there's a chance that she could lose. Right? If I play a game, why do I want to play the game against the best? I play the game against the best because then when I lose, I have an excuse that it wasn't me. I gave it my all, but I lost. Whereas if she loses this year, she has to actually face that she's not the best, because there was nobody initially identified as, oh, well, she was supposed to win. So this is what I'm saying. So, and it's unconscious. That's why it's an unintended assumption about somebody, is that they're a coward. But nobody wants to say that. So you're not alone. I've heard that theory. I've heard that theory multiple times. This is the unconscious, unexamined psyche that a therapy or a psychologist or somebody is going to get into, that, you know, they look at. It's the shadow. It's your shadow, not yours, but this is that theory's shadow motivator of why you would assume that that's the reason she left, and not saying, no, she told us why she's not competing. She wrote it down. She said, I have personal issues, right? Do you explain to every single person you interact with why you cancel on something or why you do or don't do things? No, you give somebody a reason. That reason innately has a boundary.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, I'm not saying you might be right. Who knows? Everybody, but she told the world why she's not doing it. She doesn't want to, because she has personal family things that have a greater priority currently in her life.
She say family?
She said, I don't know. I don't remember. I'd have to find it, and I'm not on Instagram. So, but she said, like, I have personal issues or something, and something takes priority. And in the end, life is not just about winning or something. And so I've got to put my focus, and I'm
it was about winning and trophies or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
So, right. Like, there you go. But because she didn't offer like a specific reason,
it allows for speculation.
Right. We need to fill it in, other than just accepting the boundary that she created was because she doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Because she wants to do something else.
Someone's asking, like, do you think she comes back from this? She's like, maybe she doesn't want to. She may take the year off and decide, you know what? Actually, I've liked not having this. I've liked not having to do this.
Right.
I mean, because she's been doing it now. She's been doing it since what? Because she was winning like the teens level. But I mean, there's not that much of a spotlight on the teens, but she's winning that sort of pressure. But what was it? I think was it Connor Murphy that was on Spawn podcast too? Like, he said, going around the routes of, let's say she did compete this year and she didn't win. So let's say she didn't win, or she didn't finish first place. Then who is she? So it's like, not only did she not win, she didn't win when Tia was there, and now this whole thing's been built up that she's supposed to be the next Tia. Well, she won,
which is there. So do you see? That's the exact same argument you're making. Just your argument doesn't address the fact that it's about expectations. So it's the presence.
I think it's Steve's mind is saying that she holds herself to a stand. She's holding herself to a standard that if I'm going to be the best, I need to beat the best, and the best aren't there. And so you're right. Like,
the best are there. She's the best.
I know, that's what we're saying. The best. Right. I was saying this is from like.
But if I lose and I assume I'm the best, I don't have anybody but myself to blame, which in itself is problematic because you're requiring something to blame. There's an absence of agency in what you're saying. What you're arguing is the reason why, but without a recognition of, you're basically calling her a coward.
Okay.
That's the, and so, but it's left unsaid. And that's what I was saying. It's the unintended or unsaid sort of like undercurrent. So we just say it like that. So what you're saying is she's a coward, but that's, and it's like, well, and then Andy, whoa, that's harsh. Sure. It's harsh because we're saying it out loud, but she's not a coward. She said exactly what she wants to do. She doesn't want to do it. And instead of faking it so in a sense, I think it's the bravest thing she could have done. Like, good on her. And she made it public and she walked away and that's it. And she's not engaging, right? Like that to me is she didn't ghost. She didn't try and hide it. She didn't try and fake it. She said, I have other things I want to do. Okay. That would be my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's initially what my 2 cents are. Like, I just like creating the story for the sake of creating a story for something to talk about.
Right. Which again comes back to the problem of because CrossFit doesn't, they're absent in
we have to create a story because they're not creating a story for us.
Right. Like, what the hell? Why aren't we talking about Emma Lawson? Why aren't we talking about Danielle Brandon this year? About freaking Emma Carey, right? About Sydney Wells. Like, where the hell did she come from?
It's the same. So you saw they had a Matt Fraser counter. Who was it? There was a Matt Fraser counter, and going back, it's why LeBron drives me nuts. But like the Lakers just got swept in 4 games by the Denver Nuggets in the conference finals, Western Conference Finals. They got swept last night. And the first game, the Lakers lose. They lose by like 15 or 20. And all the media is talking about is this is what the Lakers need to do. This is what the Lakers need to adjust. They're going to make an adjustment. Here's how they come back. But no one talks about how good that Denver Nuggets team is to beat the Lakers. And I think that's what a lot of CrossFit does right now. They're highlighting, here's the Matt Fraser counter. Let's talk about why Mal's not here. Wow, look how color hair Danielle Brandon has today. But yeah, like Emma Lawson, like she was a legit contender last year. And like, why are we not talking about her?
I mean, talk about that pacing event with the ring muscle up complex into the pistols, into her burpee box jumps. I mean, she beat everybody. She beat the dudes. Like she had that from a standpoint of like physical. And then I don't know what event 5 and 6 were or 6 and 7, the last 2 tests in 6 and 7, because I can't see them. So I don't know what the overhead squats, how that went. And but holy crap, with that ruck, how awkward that was. Like she just walked away from the field. So to me, that's what we're seeing with the prevalence of all of these other sort of like, let's talk about like the reason we feel the need to talk about that is because the entity that has the responsibility to craft a narrative that would entertain us is not doing kind of their job, but nobody's paying them to do their job. So of course they're not doing a job.
I'm trying to think of who it was. I feel like it was I want to say it was on the men's side too. There was someone, who was it the one? So there's someone that was like, if you look at the winners, there was someone like Dallin Pepper who finished in 3rd. You hardly ever heard his name throughout that competition. Yeah. Hardly ever heard his name. Like I like Luke Parker, who was on Mayhem's team and won. He's now going individual. He finished 8th. And like you really hardly heard them talk about this guy. It was the same. They're talking about Matt, and they're talking about I think there was even like a Rich Froning sighting because there was a Mayhem team there. But they're not talking about these guys. Like you said, they're not talking about these people. They're like, these are the ones that are up and coming. Let's let's put the focus on the people that are there and doing something. Yeah, no,
This is where I think
right behind Laura Olson.
Again, this is where the talent of Brian Friend, some of the other I don't know their names, the guys that Savan is bringing on board, and they're really talented at creating the narrative around these individuals because they provide the background and the context, and then they put their performance into relative context in the field, and then where that performance kind of ranks with the trajectory of what's next for them. And so like that, provide a little bit of background and exposition, offer sort of that climactic rising action, and then offer sort of the anticipation of, and look, what's next? We just saw 40 of the fittest people in the world compete. And if I go on to the games, games.crossfit.com's feed, there's nothing. There's no like morning after aspect of what did I just watch? And what did I just watch that I should now be so excited to see happen in 72 hours on the West Coast?
I'm going to pull up the games Instagram right now.
So let me ask you this question.
It doesn't destroy the...
As an affiliate owner, right? So if you think about it, you are the market. You and your however many people that come to the gym are the market. Is anybody talking about it in the gym?
No, but like a handful maybe. Most people are not. This is cool. You can never go wrong with him. There's just a post about CrossFit. So May 3rd. So they post the roster on May 3rd. Is that a pinned post? Masters athletes. Sorry, I'm just looking to see like what they've posted. You still got it. Back to Madison. So yeah, so here's some stuff on the individuals. There's Dallin Pepper. Yes. Anyway. Emma Carey. Anyway, sorry. Go back. Still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, so go back. What was your question? Are people talking about it inside the affiliate?
Yeah, like if you're a litmus test of the branding and sort of marketing efficacy being a primary audience for this product, who's paying attention to it?
Most people are not. They're not very casually. I think there's a handful of people I talk to about it, but it's the same people. It's the same people every year too, like a Luis or a Kenna.
So what's your benefit for supporting and participating in the Open next year?
I like to use that staple for the test, as the test fitness, that kind of landmark thing throughout the year, that bookmark thing throughout the year. I mean, it's why we use that separate, the echelon scoreboard this year. Like, yeah, go sign up for the games because they're providing this thing. But the focus, it's a fun fitness test every year. I could do my own with something else. I think having the games backing it as a little.
But that's what I'm saying.
Most people, I don't think it really. For most people, I don't think it would matter if we just said this is the Fairwinds Open. Here's your, and basically took the same format. It could serve the same purpose.
How are the games backing?
Whether it's
do you know what I mean? Like, like you said, with the games
Just
backing
by having
it.
the name on it, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like I have an expectation that if they're backing it, there's a trajectory to it. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it is felt this go round as there was a beginning, but I don't know what the middle was, and I don't really know what the end is. Like, I know it's going to be the games, but I don't know what it looks like yet. And that's in that vacuum of expectation or sort of like path or journey. My interest wanes very quickly.
Yeah.
Now, Grant, I'm
feel
biased.
Like each year I've just waned a little bit. You're biased because you watch it regardless.
No, I'm biased in that when I say my interest wanes, because I know for me, I'd like to have a structure, right? Like I like to at least, I don't need to know what the end is going to be, but at least I need to like have a sense of like where should I go? What time should I get there? And when I get there, what should I be wearing? Right? Like to me, that's sort of the like, okay, so the games will start at the stream will start at 9:00. I go to this link and to watch it, and I'm going to be wearing my Noah Olsen jersey. That's if I'm Andy.
That's what you want. That's just. Does there have?
No. What did I just describe, Eric? I'm gonna show up at the stadium at 7:00.
You described any other sport.
You got it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so where is that in this? If the games are backing it, if games.crossfit.com is backing it, so in a sense, our assumption is they're backing it. But if I'm the affiliate owner, this is now the third year in a row where, like, how many times do you go back to the well and drink shitty water?
Yeah,
I would be struggling if I was the business owner to legitimately make the claim. All the stuff you said I would totally agree with. It is a repeatable test. It's got infrastructure that you don't have to create. There's sort of a built-in marketing aspect to it.
Yeah.
To then also say, and this leads to like you're a part of the largest worldwide competition that is the first stage of whatever. It's kind of true, but none of it's actually true. Like because there's nothing for people to follow afterwards.
Yeah.
Or if there is, I don't know how to explain it to them. And we're pretty well experienced with this. And so that I would, as just a basic litmus test. Again, like that's, I guess, but how Andy is, even if that's his claim, like that value of being able to compare yourself to a larger sample size, how accurate is that sample size? We and I had this conversation of like, are people actually being judged? Like, is that sample size, the consistency of it, or sort of the, like, is everybody using the same standards and that assumption, or is internally to your box itself a large enough sample size to make it of worth or value or interest to your market?
Yeah. And it's even one of the, yeah. These are good questions. If you're looking for an answer, I'm not going to answer.
Okay. I guess the episode's over then.
Yeah. This is going to be a two-parter. No, it's totally something we're thinking about, because I enjoy the open, I enjoy the test, and you're right, there's free marketing around it. Like there's a lot that the scorecards and the graphics and the open announcements, like all this stuff that like builds some excitement around it that I don't have to do. It's built in. And like that stuff, there's a lot of value in that. In the grand scheme of things, what does it really matter that it's the CrossFit Games Open and not the Fairwinds CrossFit open. And this, you're right, like within the box is where that sample size come from. Because those scoreboards too, like, okay, if I do 1,000 reps on the scaled workout and 1 rep of the RX workout, I'm going to be placed up on that higher board. So where do you like, does 1 rep really prove my fitness? No, but it was to be higher up on the leaderboard. Where does my leaderboard? And, there's plenty of people that do that. What is that value? I think I've said this before. I don't even know if I've ever really paid that close attention to where I stand on the worldwide leaderboard, because it's very skewed. It's very skewed. And who knows what people are doing. I think I do it too, just out of the support of the thing that I pay the, affiliation fee for every year. I support the brand that is CrossFit. I think it's a big reason I do it, if anything, is because if it wasn't for them, this thing may not exist. And so I will support them in a way I know how. Hey, sign up for the Open. And maybe that can be, maybe it doesn't, but it feels like the honorable thing to do.
And if the majority of your business rests on something that simple, right, that people trust you, I think that is a more than legitimate, right? Like, what else is there? It's like, I love that. Sure. Like, and it's that simple. It's like, it's in the name of my business. We're going to do the Open as long as they have it. It has all of these other ancillary benefits. Are they perfect? No. Do I follow after this? No, I don't watch the quarterfinals or pay attention to the semis or play. If you are interested in the games, sure. But no, we don't, because it's not really what we do. We do the Open because of exactly what you just said, right? FYI, that's a very simple narrative. It's a very clean narrative. It's a very easy to follow narrative for you as a gym, as for you as a business, for you as a community. You've just given your people like a very definitive anchor upon which to build foundation, upon which to build a excitement for the entire year. And so, in a sense, you, in that simplicity, have surpassed the skill set that apparently the games team has displayed for themselves, right? Like, what is the central narrative that the games team is telling us as an audience? That, to me, is the gaping hole. And for you as an affiliate, you don't have that gaping narrative. You've made it very clear for in the context of this completion. So that,
I may not do it next year though, because I need to focus on other things, and it's not all about trophies. And
like, you personally might not do the Open, or you as an affiliate might not do the Open.
Me as a person.
Okay.
I'm gonna withdraw.
Well, and again, then there's also the difference of being a professional athlete and not being a professional athlete.
Yeah.
But in a sense, as being a professional athlete, she met the minimum work requirement of a professional athlete. She let her followers know what her intention was. She didn't just not show up to the competition.
And I'm with you too. Like, I think her answer was like, she said, she basically said she wasn't going to do it. And it was vague enough that it leaves a lot of people to speculate. But at the end of the day, she doesn't really owe anyone an explanation at all. It was kind of her to let people know, hey guys, I'm not going to do it this year. Yeah. I'm going to give you this kind of blanket statement, but really it's my business. And thank you for all that support me.
There you go.
Like, that was more than she needed to do. And that was so.
She owes her sponsors, right? She owes her coach. She owes her family. That's about it. Like, because those are the people that she's probably contractually signed agreements with. And by the nature of a contract, I'm sure there's a clause in there that she owed those people. The rest, it's totally like she gave what she needed to give. So that I feel as if the transactional exchange with the games season so far has been extremely inequitable. But at the same token, that, like, from a financial standpoint, you get what you pay for. I pay nothing. Good on him, right? Like
Yeah.
I got
It's
what I paid
transactional,
for.
but I didn't have to do anything on this.
Right. So
Yeah.
so in that, here's the problem, is because there has been no clarity of the medium of transaction, right? So up to this point, it has been an assumed transaction of attention that
Yeah.
I pay with my attention to the games and the effort and the time and my energy to view, and the expectation is they give something back. And my time and energy and attention is a scarce resource. There's only so much of it. So because that's the medium of exchange, there's so much room for like, well, then they're like, well, what do I get out of this? You get my attention and my thing. And in a sense, how do they quantify that? How do they quantify that as value? But if they made us pay, if there was actually like tangible exchange of some sort of agreed upon medium of worth, aka money, well, then now
Pretty clear cut.
we have a clarity of expectation of what to get. And when I don't get it, I can make that clear by not paying next year. And now they have a better clarity of feedback of like, oh shit, we didn't do a good job because I lost 30% of my revenue. Okay, we need to tweak something. But like, so in the absence of that clarity, this is a very shitty and inequitable exchange of value. And because I want a narrative and I give my attention to get the narrative. There's no narrative.
Like,
go ahead.
Like bare minimum. That's the one thing. If you say, look, guys, I appreciate that this was really of no cost to me other than my attention. If you can make one little tweak, just give me a narrative.
Yeah. But there's no medium, or there's no avenue. There's no way for me to express that to them other than just what I just stop watching, right? I'm just not interested. But what do they care? Because they never got anything from me to begin with. So it's just going to be a degrading blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And unless they just do it out of the goodness of their heart and, because they're honorable and they want to, for the sake of doing a good job, like, okay, but that's not gonna sustain, especially not in a capitalistic system. Like there needs to be some sort of exchange of value that is observable, measurable, repeatable, that offers an exchange of feedback in the transaction, because otherwise it is a transaction of utility and it's a transaction of equitable feelings of reciprocity. None of that exists right now. And that's problematic, because if they truly want to professionalize it and make it worth it for the athletes who are trying to make this a profession, excuse me, they're going to lose their audience, or they're going to dilute the broadcast field, and you're going to get, you're just going to get a shitload of podcasts and this.
Yeah. Which is, you're getting what you pay for here.
Right. That too.
Oh man. Well, when's the next one? Is that this coming weekend?
It's this weekend, yeah. But right, that's a great point, right? Like, why don't you know that? When the next NBA playoff game is, right?
Yeah, I think there's one tonight, actually.
And you know when the next WrestleMania event is.
Well, I know that Clash of Champions is this Saturday in Saudi Arabia.
Right, there you go. Like, how do you know that?
Because they freaking tell me constantly. They don't let me forget it. They want to know, they want to make sure that I'm watching.
Yes, right? Like that, and you're paying for it.
I'm paying for it. I'll tell you, even the wrestlers remind you, like, this Saturday at 1 p.m., I'm going to take you down at Clash of Champions in Saudi Arabia. And they all do their. So
and
there's
again, like they don't have to invent this. I'm just like
Yeah.
that wrestler, that player is under contract with WWE. And in that contract, it says you can say whatever you want in your interview, but you have to say these three things. You got to work them in, however you work them in, but you got to work them in. So when I do a post-event interview with Jeff Adler, be like, Jeff, yep, you have signed a contract as a professional games athlete, blah 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 blah, because they now have a representative body, and that representative body negotiates something with CrossFit. So within that, every time you interview, we have 6 basic questions we'll ask you. You can answer them however you want, but when we finish the interview, we're going to need you to say da 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 da. Right? Like,
I'm looking forward to seeing who my competitors are going to be after the the semifinals this weekend, and who I'm going to be meeting in Madison on July, whatever. Right?
Yep.
Like,
you got it. Right? Like that. It's that simple that everybody, and you said it even like that. As much, oh my God, that feels so gross. Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't feel gross. Why do you feel not obligated? That's not the right word, but like you feel a sense of fidelity to CrossFit as an organization because it gave you the sense of community and opportunity, and it facilitated you to be able to run your business. So you are willing to give it such the benefit of the doubt over and over and over again. And it's not because you're a putz or a chump. Like, that's legit. Like, that's hardwired reciprocity. And so you're telling me those athletes are going to be any different? They've been given a field to compete. They've been given the facility to compete. They've been given an opportunity to really feel a sense of purpose and meaning. And so the business side of it asks for them the reciprocity back of, you are the product that represents us. So we are going to bend over backwards to give you the chance to shine and really display the effort that you've put in. We just need you to, at the end of the interview, and it'll be seamless because we've got professional interviewers here who will ask you the right question, who will then say, and so you're going to be watching this weekend when, I'm really excited to see with the West Coast semis, how it plays out, blah, 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 blah. My coach and I have said that we're going to, but in the end, it's really just about how I do. I got to measure myself against me, but I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do out there in California on next weekend. And if they forget, the interviewer does it, right? Like that. Anyway, but I don't work for them, and they're not asking me. I don't have any of these. Hey, Jack, what would you do different in my email? So
let me check my email. Let's see. I've about 3,000 unread emails. Let me see if it's in there.
We are literally the definition of an armchair quarterbacking at.
Yeah.
In my basement.
Well, good. Well, maybe
on
Andy,
my basement on my computer.
So, Andy, if you have any poll with people across it, let them know that we're trying to figure things out to help them out. So, to our current listener, appreciate you, buddy.
I guess it would just be. Yeah, I'll finish. You finish. What do you got?
Let's lock it up. Lock it up.
You got to go get your PT appointment on.
Oh, yeah, I'm very excited. FX Physical Therapy. Make sure to check them out. They have locations in Annapolis, Severna Park, other places as well. They offer free consultations and free injury screenings, and they take insurance. Make sure to check them out. Contact Christine. Look how seamless that was.
Right? And you're not even
and they will be here for
a professional.
Saturday. I don't even get kickbacks. It's funny. Someone said,
not anymore,
I tell people all the time, I was like, make sure you go talk to Christine at FX. And they're like, do you get any oh, there you go. Yep. Here's another one. FX is the best. Fix my old ass knee. I'm assuming that is.
I think he was either saying old ass F or old ass knee. Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is what is mine? I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is that water slide. That's mine. That water slide that you saw Meg pick up at Sam's Club. That's my gratitude for this week, because that thing is going to be. It's hard. We moved from a condo that had a pool right across the street, and my my family has a pool, Meg's family has a pool, but it's a drive to get there. And that water slide is going to be the thing that kind of helps like save the summer from not having access to a pool right across the street. And it's already so out there playing with that thing for hours the other day, and they're having so much fun with it. And I'm just happy that when Meg got it and I heard the cost, I'm like, oh man, really? But at the end of the day, it's going to cost less than a pool membership, and the kids just have so much fun with it, and the neighborhood kids, which is even better because they'll come to us, and we don't have to worry about whose door Fiona is knocking on as she rides off on the bike. Which FYI, she's grounded for the week, by the way.
Oh no.
Yeah, she got a little too comfortable with some of the freedom that we gave her, and we got to reel it back in. So it's one of those hard parenting moments where like she's pissed off as heck at you right now, but you're doing the right thing, and she'll thank you later when she's not abducted. All right, you go.
I think mine is I was pretty grateful for my boys and the MC boys this weekend. It was just a recognition of that. Like we went camping and it was pack in, pack out, right? Pretty primitive, cooking, those dried meals and stuff over a propane the stove, camping stove, or over the fire or whatever. But like, they set up their own tents and hammocks and stuff. So, right. Like Boy Scout, anybody who's a Boy Scout's been like, yeah, they did that when, Boy Scouts do it when they're 12. What's the problem? Like, but other guys are 17 now. And there was just sort of a freedom in being able to appreciate them and experience them as more or less peers on the trip, where I didn't feel obligated to have to be running and doing everything, which
nice.
Whenever you go on trips with your kids, that for the longest time, that's always been to get the time with them requires an exponentially more amount of energy and care and involvement, right? Like you've got to think of everything in order for it to work. This felt like one of the first trips. Go ahead.
I would say going on vacation with kids is just parenting in a different location.
Right. And so
this
felt like the first sort of experience with them. And I've had like other mini ones at different times, but truly where like they knew more about the fishing stuff and what to do and things that I got a chance to just kind of be along for the ride for stuff. And it was like a glimmer of what they're going to be like as adults.
That's cool.
It was really cool. And I was super grateful. And it's sort of also like a gratitude of you don't get that without also like we had a hike 2 miles into the campsite. Yeah. And the first night it was easy because that we were just hiking and fishing, and then we found the site and we're like, oh, perfect. And we didn't know it was going to be there, but it worked out great. But then the next day we hiked back to another river, kind of fished all day. Matt fell in the water after he caught this awesome trout. So he's wet and kind of cold and miserable. So we are like hoofing it 2 miles back to the campsite. And it's kind of like, ah, shit, we're going to get there and we still got to get dry and the fire going. And then tomorrow morning, we got to pack everything up and hike back out. Like, so right. Like in your head, you're kind of like, oh my God, is this really worth it? And it was totally worth it, but you don't get it unless you put in the work. There was like so many levels of like metaphors. And then Josh, when we got home Monday morning, when we woke up, he goes, it was a lot of fun this weekend, but I got to tell you, Dad, like I did really enjoy sleeping in my own bed, really warm, and sleeping the entire night through and not waking up at 2 a.m. freezing. And I go, yeah, but you're only aware of how much you like your bed because you suffered a little bit. And he
Yeah.
just chuckled. And so I don't know what to say. Maybe the gratitude is just like, I'm really appreciative for the suffering of raising the kids to be able to get to the point of like, which is kind of what I'm saying, but not what I'm saying. So it was just it was a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful. Maybe I'll end it with, I'm grateful for my fitness to be able to do that, right? To be able to hike probably across the weekend over 15 miles with 50 pounds on your back at 46 years old. Like that's, and not be completely broken the next day.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. It's a good one. Looking forward to that day.
It's worth it. Like in the sense, like you're kind of getting it a little bit with the water slide. Like it all, it's not all an isolated thing. And to me, it feels like it's not just an isolated thing. Like it really is. And it's not a culmination, right? Like this never ends, because then the next day you got to deal with parenting of like, kids are failing classes. And you're like, what the fuck are you failing your class for? Are you kidding me? I didn't hand in the assignment. Why did you hand in the assignment?
That sounds like Megan getting mad at me for something. Oh, good stuff.
Oh, I had a joke. One of the MCs told a joke. It was pretty funny, but I can't remember it. So
you gotta remember it. It's so important. This is the most important time.
All right, man.
Andy, I really appreciate how deep you two are. I am thankful for pizza. Are we like deep dish pizza? Are we?
I could totally go for a deep dish pizza.
Dude, Andy's here every week. Thank you so much, dude. Every freaking week.
I don't know.
We jumped on early this week, and you were here. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that, man.
I love it. Is it because of the quality of our show, or is it how much he hates work?
Andy, you just let me know when you're able to jump on, and we'll get you on. You can even be like on the Savant podcast, where you're just occasionally just a call-in friend when you have the time. You are always welcome on the show, dude.
I like that.
So cool. Oh, he said we're both good. Great. Awesome. Cool. Awesome. All right. We're getting out of here.